So, hi, my name is Melinda Beezer, and this is my fifth video in the family incest trilogy, so to speak. I guess more than a trilogy. Up until now, the things that you've heard on my previous videos and stuff are minor to where we're going now. I'm going to be taking you into my very dark history. Some people would think that being sexually molested by your father was dark. Well, if that was dark, this is hell. My hell, my personal hell, so to speak, the drop to the pit, so to speak, begins with my dad, who I've all told you was a pedophile. He sexually molested me. He did things to my brother and sister as well. And now, once, as I've said in previous videos, no one believed that my dad did anything to me. Everybody believed that I was in the head and making the whole thing up. My mom thought I was a liar. She thought I was no good. My entire family thought I was making it up. I was just in the head. And so nobody believed in me. Not one frickin' person. So, that leads us into the next, even darker chapter of our existence. Because no one believed in me, eventually, I stopped believing in me. Eventually, I decided, well, everybody thinks I'm wrong in the head. Maybe I'm wrong in the head. And so, that new belief system in me led me to return to my dad. I started visiting him. Again, I started going down to his house. And this was following my attempt at suicide. And so, when I returned to my dad's, he didn't abuse me anymore. There was no more incidences. He stayed away from me. I think mainly because he didn't want to be responsible for getting me to kill myself. At the time, I had a very close friend. Her name is Jennifer, and she's my third cousin. I grew up with Jennifer. She lives right up the road from my grandparents, just up the, well, my dad lives down the road from my grandparents live up the road from us, and Jennifer's parents live up the road from the grandparents, so we grew up on the same gravel road and everything. And we'd known each other all of our lives. And I had become close to Jennifer when my parents got divorced, because I didn't have my brother or sister anymore, so Jennifer kind of took my siblings' place, so to speak. We were together every day. We had three-wheelers, and we ran all over the farm on three-wheelers. Every day after school, we were on some kind of adventure. She was my constant companion. And when I started going back to my dad's for visitation, Jennifer inadvertently would be with me. She'd come down the road. She stayed at my dad's house with me. And I had it fixated in my mind that, you know, if my dad, you know, I could keep Jennifer safe from my dad. You know, all I'd do is I'd make sure that I stayed with Jennifer at all times. And I thought I could protect her. I thought as long as I was with her, nothing was going to happen to us. And my dad hadn't done anything further to me, so I thought maybe he got better. And that's the delusion I lived in for quite a while. You know, I just, you know, Dad was leaving me alone, and I, you know, thought, you know, I was keeping Jennifer safe. The problem with thinking that you can keep a pedophile under supervision is the fact that it's not realistic to be able to stay with somebody all the frickin' time. You know, I was with Jennifer most of the time, but I had to go to the bathroom, which that's okay. I mean, that's like a minute, you know, she should be fine there. But I also took showers. And, you know, even fast showers with, you know, women, by the time you wash your hair and everything, you do at least 10 minutes in the shower. I wasn't the fastest shower taker. So I'm thinking, you know, 15, 20 minutes in the bathroom. And that's all the window my dad needed to start with Jennifer. He started molesting her. He started touching her when I was in the shower, when I was out of the room. I would find out later, you know, my dad was a very quick pedophile. He didn't need much time. He was on it right quick. So, and I didn't realize that this was going on. I thought, you know, it never occurred to me that in such a small window that he could do the things. And Jennifer never said anything to me. So I didn't know anything was going on right away. Then my cousin and I and my dad and sister attended a wedding for the son of one of our neighbors. And it was in September of '92. And we went to this wedding. And after the wedding, you know, my dad had had a few drinks at the wedding. And, you know, he didn't drink very much, one or two. Anyway, we went back out to the parking lot. And my cousin Jennifer was with us, and my brother and sister. And my dad tells me, Melinda, you're driving. And then he proceeds to get into the back seat with my cousin and my sister. Right away, I got that sick feeling. I knew something was not right. My dad never rides in the back seat. Never, ever does he ride in the back seat. He didn't like the back seat. He never rides in the back seat. So I got that sick feeling, something's not right. But I didn't make an issue of it. I got into the car, and we were supposed to be going to a country concert after the wedding out at the fairgrounds. And so I was driving, and right away, as I'm driving down the road, I get that sick feeling. And I know what my dad's doing. I know what's going on in the back seat. And to the core of me, I know. And my poor little sister, who was just a kid, about 13, I think at the time, she got to sit there in that back seat with my dad and Jennifer and watch my dad molest Jennifer. And my sister was sick and she was scared. And she decided she was going home. And so I ended up driving my sister home to my mom's, and then we went to the concert. And I tried to pretend away. I tried to ignore it. I tried to tell myself I'm just, you know, I'm wigging out. You know, I'm crazy. There's nothing going on. You know, I need to settle down. You know, Jennifer didn't say anything. You know, she didn't tell him to stop. I wasn't hearing any complaints. So, you know, I tried to convince myself that that's not what was going on in the back seat. Then, after the concert, we drove back to La Crosse, which was about an hour and 40-minute drive. And once again, my dad gets in the back seat with Jennifer. And this time, I had no frickin' doubt about what was going on in the back seat. And my brother was sitting next to me. He's just a, you know, kid. Was sitting next to me, and I drove to the ranch. And the whole way down to the ranch, I knew what was going on in the back seat. I knew what my dad was doing to my cousin in the back seat. And I considered driving my car off the frickin' road. I considered everything. You know, why didn't I pull over? Why didn't I stop? Why didn't I yank her out of that car and put a stop to it? I should have. That's what I should have done. But I didn't. I just let it happen. I just continued to drive down that road. I didn't wreck the car. I didn't do anything. I kept my mouth shut, and I drove to La Crosse. And tried to deny what was happening to me. And I am ashamed to admit that some small part of me realized that because Dad was obviously abusing Jennifer now, that he would leave me alone. And that now I was safe. That I wouldn't have to worry about him abusing me anymore. And I have to live with the shame of that thought process of making my cousin a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. I don't know why I made those decisions. I wished I could, you know, I'm not proud of it. I don't know why my cousin even talks to me to this day, even though to this day we remain close. You know, I just messed up in the head, or I just didn't know what else to do. It's not like I didn't care. You know, I tried to get Jennifer out of it. I stopped speaking to her on a number of occasions to keep her away from my dad. I tried, to be with her constantly. I kept her under even tighter supervision. Started taking my showers when my dad wasn't fricking around. But all of that was for naught. I mean, my dad was a lot craftier than I actually anticipated. At that time, I wasn't living in La Crosse. When my dad first started sexually molesting Jennifer, I wasn't living in La Crosse at that time. So I was usually just down for the summers and stuff. And I decided at that point that I was, I just wouldn't go down. I'd keep Jennifer away from my dad. I'd stay in Spokane. And I wouldn't have Jennifer around anymore. Well, my mom got mad at me because I was going, what set it off was that my dad bought me a sports car. A 1989 GTU red Beretta. I loved that car. And he gave me this car as an early graduation gift. And my mom saw red over that car. And she didn't say anything at first or anything like that. And I, had the car. I loved the freedom of having the car. And I drove that car to and from school. I didn't have any friends. I wasn't popular. No friends in school. All I did with that car was I drove to school, from school, and I drove over to my grandmother's, my mom's mom, and visited with her. Well, that's all it took. My mom was mad because I was going over to visit my grandmother, who at the time she was feuding with, and so she saw red. But like I said, she didn't tell me that these visits were irking her. She didn't let me know that I was annoying her. She just let it build up until finally she blew her fuse and tossed me out. By then I was 18 years of age, so it was legal. She didn't have to keep me. So she kicked me out. And so, I did not want to go back down to the ranch, back down. I knew my dad was molesting Jen. I knew, what had happened in that car. I knew I didn't want to be under the same roof as him. So I managed to make arrangements with the woman who had once managed the apartments that my mother lived in. And I made arrangements with her to live with her so that I could continue to go to school in Spokane, and so I wouldn't have to move back in with my father, who was basically a monster. Unfortunately, that living situation, that living situation didn't work out for me, and so I ended up eventually being forced to return to La Crosse and under my dad's roof. And in my next video, I will be discussing the horrible things that I endured once I returned to living with my pedophile father. Thank you.